Now another guy who's here, who's exploding all over the scene. I remember him when he was just starting, and now he's on TV, he's on radio every day. He's in San Francisco on 95.7 The Game. J-Lo, my boy Dan Dibley, Lorenzo Neal, and this guy, Joey Fortenbaugh. Part of the team, and you see him on TV. He professes to know a little bit about sports gambling. Is that true, Joe?
First of all, what are you doing bringing former Giants on the show? You're an
I
Eagles
put
guy.
everybody
what
on
are you
this
doing?
show.
You got the former Giants in here. What are you going to have, Troy Aikman on next?
Yeah, I love Troy Aikman. I have all the great players. Bart Oates is a great player. He's the NFL Alumni Association president. He played for the Niners. He played for the Giants. He played for the Chiefs. What's the matter with you, man? Are you just putting on? You're just putting on San Francisco 49ers players? Is that all you care about?
We're focused. We're a little bit more. We're not as robust. We're not as robust with our diversity. We have strict orders from the home base, the mothership. We got to keep it dialed in this week for the game. But overall, thank you for having me. This isn't just to make you feel good about it. This is a very impressive setup. I watch you. Is that in your basement when you normally do it?
No, we don't. It's a cellar.
It's a cellar.
It's a cellar.
Like a wine cellar.
Come on, get it right.
What's beautiful the way you guys have it set up. It's very impressive, and I follow you on social, so I see you lugging all the gear down here. Then I see the picture of you hanging out with the feet and the sandals and everything. You do a great job.
You got to do that stuff, man. We want people to feel like they're here with us, Joe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love it. You're doing exactly what you should be doing. So what are you thinking? How's your week been going so far?
Beautiful, man. We had a great time. We went to South Beach last night. You know, a lot of the people that I'm with haven't been to South Beach. Our buddy Philly Godfather, he's been there. He used to live in Miami. And so, like, Don Collins is a Canadian dude.
He doesn't even know
what
Don
doesn't even, he's never been out of Saskatchewan.
He thinks he's in Bermuda.
He thinks he's in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Speaking of which, the beauty of Philly Godfather, I haven't seen him in forever, but the second you see him, the first thing, you shake hands. What props do you like? Exactly. First thing out of his mouth, man. I love that guy. That's the beauty of the guys you know that do it for real, that have been around a long time, that know the ins and the outs. The first thing out of the mouth, you don't even need the hello. It's right to business. Who do you got? What do you like? What are you thinking? Look at this game tonight.
We don't have time for anything else.
I know.
Because you're in San Francisco. He's in Philly. He's the Philly Godfather. Everybody knows the Philly Godfather.
Of course.
And he's got the animals now making picks.
You know, he sponsored the show. He's not just here for fun and games. He loves Tony so much. They have a mutual admiration society going.
Really?
He's one of the sponsors of the shows.
This thing is, by the way, this is the show to sponsor.
Like Mission Control.
Yeah, what, 250,000 people watching this thing?
Yeah, we're live on Twitch. Now we're on the front page of Twitch, so we got all these people listening, and we have fun. I've always had fun doing this, Joe. You know that.
Of course.
That's how you do this, and you guys have fun in San Francisco on 95.7 The Game. And if you don't have fun doing this and people think that you hate your job, why would they listen or watch you? You know what I mean?
That's the key. It's be authentic, be real, have emotion, come in. That's why I'm trying to tell people this is such a great week for us. I've covered a few Super Bowls before. I've been lucky, but this is the hometown team.
Right.
So you're actually here with an agenda this week. You're actually here breaking down the nuance rather than doing some of what we've done in the past, which is cover some of the fun of it, talk about what you do when you go out at night, things of that nature. Not to say we're not having any fun. This is one of the all-time Super Bowl locations, as you know.
Absolutely.
So it's been great to get back to Miami. This is where the first Super Bowl I ever covered was Saints-Colts. About 10 years ago.
That
First
was
time I was ever here.
Rex Grossman, Peyton Manning game.
That was the Super Bowl before. I'm talking Saints-Colts when Breeze beat them.
Yes, exactly.
And then a couple years before that, they were in Miami as well.
Yep.
And that was the one in the rain. I'm hoping we can avoid the rain for this game.
And you know the thing about Miami, they were in that short rotation back then because San Diego had a team. Everybody loved going to San Diego, the zoo, not the Greek town, the Gaslamp. Everything was close. Everything you can walk around and do. And the Houston was like that. Miami is really spread out, and so it's a great area. You get to drive over the causeway and see the beautiful water and the massive yachts and all that stuff.
Yes.
So, Miami's a special place, man. It's one of those you have to go down to South Beach and drive down all the Art Deco. I mean, that's like going to San Francisco and not seeing the Golden Gate Bridge.
Exactly.
There are things you have to do when you go to every city, and luckily I've been to them multiple times. And so when people see South Beach for the first time and the Art Deco, and they say, boy, it's pretty close. It was quiet at 8 o'clock. By the time we got out of there, you couldn't move. Every single bar, every single hotel bar, there's people outside, and it's going to get crazier because more people come in on Thursday and Friday. Not everybody gets to spend 9 days like we do.
No.
People come in on Thursdays, and, it's expensive. Just getting tickets is a major setback. Ron Jaworski, former player, bought 4 tickets, face value $20,000.
Yeah.
$5,000 a piece, and that's not the aftermarket. That's from the NFL.
We've been trying to figure out which fan base is going to show up better down here, because some always point to the San Francisco fan base and they say, well, they've got money. Well, all fan bases have demographics that have money.
Exactly.
There's some Silicon Valley money that'll come. Chiefs haven't been here in 50 years.
I know.
So you got to figure they're going to show out as well. Both teams primarily wear red. First Super Bowl where we've ever had that. I'm thinking 50-50 in there, outside of the corporations and everything. I don't think one fan base is going to dwarf the other. This is a fresh Super Bowl for us. We have not had this in a while. Finally, the Patriots are out, and I think a lot of people don't know what to do with themselves, because like the Yankees and like Notre Dame, when you look at the Patriots, you're either in with them or you hate them.
Right.
Now people aren't really sure where their allegiance lies if these aren't their teams.
And me being a Philly guy, I love Andy Reid. He was there for a long time, got to all those championship games, got to one Super Bowl and lost. So there are a lot of people who are rooting, hoping Andy gets one ring, so he can validate his career, which I believe is a Hall of Fame career. Even if he doesn't win, he wins it. He's a lock to get in. And then you look at the Niners, the history of the franchise, Jimmy Garoppolo, the fact that they turned this thing around. I mean, it's one of the fastest rebuilds because they got the draft picks, they got the right GM, they got the right coach, and they got the right assistant coaches, and boom, they put this thing together, and it's hitting on all cylinders, and it's going to be a good team for a long time.
Culture is the buzzword that everyone uses when they're talking about the Niners, because this was a bad culture for a while post-Harbaugh. At the end, when it fell apart, Jed York, a young guy, he overstepped his bounds, as many would say, with Harbaugh, and Harbaugh was very vocal and adamant about that. It led to a major rift. Harbaugh leaves. The fan base is devastated because Jim has done so much for them, and they were on the precipice of a Super Bowl and all that stuff. You bring in Tom Sula, terrible hire, it's a disaster. Chip Kelly, terrible hire, it's a disaster. Here comes Shanahan and Lynch, and nobody wants to trust Lynch because they're like, this guy's out of the booth.
Right.
He's got no experience. And we just watched Shanahan blow the Super Bowl, which, by the way, when does a coordinator take all the heat for something like that?
I know.
Dan Quinn is just riding away scot-free. MVP quarterback Matt Ryan. No one ever talks about the fact that he blew a 28-3 lead. Where was the defense? Get a stop.
Exactly. They're blaming it on the fact that they were up 28-3 and they made a couple of bad play calls and switched the momentum.
Yeah.
You still had to give up the points to lose the game.
Yeah, you still had that thing under wraps. To blame a coordinator for that is just completely idiotic. So here they come. First year doesn't work out so hot. Second year doesn't work out. People are starting to get antsy, and it's just, look, the roster was awful. It was awful, and what was good got hurt, and the salary cap wasn't managed well. Turnarounds take at least 3 years. I mean, you know it with the Birds. They were hot. Andy left. They went through all of it for a little while, and then Howie brought them back up. They built the thing together. They got the quarterback, and they're there. You just got to be a little bit patient. You just don't want to be inept. The Browns are inept. The Bengals, by and large, are inept. The Dolphins have been inept. This is a team that
and the Raiders were for a while until they finally got it back together again.
Yeah. They're another perfect example of that.
And brought in a great personnel guy as their GM, and Gruden in the booth for many years, but still obviously a student of the game. Because a lot of guys, when they leave coaching, they watch games on TV or they sit around. Gruden stayed involved because he was still talking to players and coaches doing Monday night. So he didn't really lose grasp. But Jimmy Johnson, when he got out of the Cowboys, when he came in, he knew all the Miami players. He knew all the hot college players. So he was fortunate in the right spot at the right time. All the draft picks, gets the Aikmans and the Emmitt Smiths and the Michael Irvins, and then boom, they build that dynasty back in the 90s.
And you could tell with Gruden it was coming at some point because he was never overly critical on any of the broadcasts.
Yep.
And that's the rumor with Peyton Manning as to why he won't take a job on TV, is that he wants to wait until just about everyone he played with retires so he doesn't have to worry about being critical of his friends. That's what's floating around out there anyway.
This is breakdown that you don't get anywhere else, ladies and gentlemen, except on 95.7 The Game with my boy Dan Dibley. I'm so happy to see him, man. Back on top, back doing morning radio.
He's doing great. He's having quite a good time this week. He's really enjoying himself. I talked to your boy Damon Bruce last night as well. I was doing the afternoon hits with him. Irate he's not here. Don't tell him I said that. Irate
Irate that he's not here? Oh, they didn't send Damon out?
No, he just did the morning show.
That is an outrage.
That is a total outrage.
A total outrage.
You
tell Matt Nahagian right now I need to hear from him this afternoon.
It's an outrage.
It is an outrage. All right, now, obviously, you're a guy who dabbles in the would you call yourself a gambling expert?
I wouldn't use the term expert.
Are you Philly Godfather level?
No. He has lived and breathed it for such a long time. When you talk about the 10,000 hours of being an expert, that's the 10,000 hours of being an expert. I am someone who has enjoyed it for quite some time. So I've made it a passion project to study it and learn it. If I'm going to bet, how about I try to figure out a way to not get my teeth kicked in like some nobody schmuck for my entire life? So eventually I'm writing for National Football Post, and I decide, I got nothing going on in my life. I'm not dating anyone. I'm in my late 20s. I got nothing going on. I'm going to move out to Vegas, and I'm just going to get to know the bookmakers and the pros and a lot of the guys that Philly Godfather knows. I'm going to get to know them, and I'm going to learn the business. I'm going to study the business. I'm going to see what makes this work, how these guys figure this out. So I've spent years studying it, writing about it, and then trying to implement it. So you try to get to a point where you know a little bit more and you can convey that information. But in terms of on that level, no way. That's a 400 level econ course.
But what you do is what you do to get great is you study. You just don't say, hey, I'm looking at the lines. Yeah, I like this team, and then you make your picks on your 5-pack, 6-pack of picks.
Of course.
You got to study this stuff day in and day out. It's like fantasy. Fantasy players, different level. They know every player on every roster because of it.
Exactly. They
but
study
gambling,
the weather. They study everything.
Exactly.
So the whole point you're trying to do is you just want to stay ahead of it. The guys who know this better than anything, you just want to get the best number. Right now, for example, the Niners are sitting out there at plus 1.5. If you have a good sense and you're smart enough to realize that maybe it's going to move the other way, get the 1.5. Then if it closes pick 'em or San Francisco -1, you at least got the best of it. You're beating the market. You're beating the pricing. They'll always tell you the same thing, these guys. You're not betting jerseys. You're betting numbers. It's all about the pricing. They don't care about anything else. That's what it comes down to.
And this one is pretty much one of the closest toss-up games you'll find in the law. I can't remember the last time a game was this much of a toss-up. It could go because no one really knows. You can make arguments on both sides how both teams could win this game. And so the line's not going to move that much, even with the suitcase guys that come in. What's the guy's name that put down the big bet? Mattress Mike. Mattress Mac. I'm sorry. I don't know Mattress Mac.
Out of Houston, huge Astros fan. Smart, because think about what he did during the Astros run. He had a gimmick with his mattress company where if the Astros won the World Series,
that's what I know. That's
he's
right.
refunding everybody.
That's right. Yeah.
So then he goes and he bets on the Astros. So either way, he's going to make sure he doesn't have too much liability. Plus, he gets all the free pub.
I didn't realize that after the Astros that he becomes like the go-to guy to see who he's taking with his money. He's a guy with a lot of money, has a successful business. Does that make him an expert on who he's going to pick?
I don't think so. I mean, he likes to bet. He's got a ton of money to bet. This would be the guy to ask.
Let me ask
here.
Philly Godfather here. Christian, can we turn that other mic on? Because Mattress Mac, you posted this morning on Philly Godfather at Twitter, at Philly Godfather, Mattress Mac has made his play. So you posted that. Do you follow Mac? I mean, we follow him.
Well,
was he considered? He's just considered a rich guy, but
he was considered a rich guy. But we have a mutual friend in Bruce Pritchard who runs the WWE or WWF, whatever it's called now. And we're actually getting together next week in Atlantic City. So he might not be a square anymore.
Of all the places to meet, Atlantic City.
Joe's not a square, right?
No, he's sharp.
He's sharp.
I met him a long time ago, and what I loved about Joe was he was asked, all the guys that knew what they were doing, thousands and thousands of questions, and it registered with him. And I watch him on TV. He's not just entertaining; he's very informative, and he knows what to look for, when it comes to gambling angles.
Because you can have guys, yell, "Hey, call my number, call this. Hey, we have the picks. I'm going to give you the free pick tonight. You call me right now, and you don't have to pay anything." And there's a lot of guys that do that.
Yeah, they're all marketers.
Exactly. Not on this show.
Not on this show.
With the Philly
at all.
Godfather, Joe Fortenbaugh. It's great to see you. So who do you like? Are you going to be a homer, or are you going to make a legitimate?
Well, first of all, homer. I'm from Allentown, Pennsylvania. The Eagles are my team. Okay, so it's like, let's be honest here. The Birds aren't in it. If I was picking the Birds, I'd understand what you're talking about. I like the Niners. I've liked the Niners from the beginning of this thing. It's not something that I'd pound on the table. I was pounding on the table before the Minnesota game. I really love the Niners there. I like them here. I think that there's too much infatuation with what the Chiefs did in the last two games. Let's remember something. Houston ranks 29th in pass defense. They're not a good defense, okay? That game was at Arrowhead. Tennessee, 24th in pass defense. They're not a good pass defense. I was just waiting, because I was taking a bath betting against Tennessee. I was just waiting for someone to get a lead on them, because once you get the lead, Henry's out of the game. Now it becomes the Tannehill show, and you saw that happen against the Kansas City Chiefs. So in this game, the Niners can hit you a lot of different ways. They play very good defense.
Yep.
They have a sound rushing attack. They can throw the ball with Garoppolo. They're smart on special teams. They're well prepared. And here's one thing I want you to pay attention to. This is the third time this year they've been in this situation. Okay? They've spent an entire week away from home to get ready for a game. Beginning of the year, they played at Tampa, spent the week in Youngstown, Ohio practicing, then played the Bengals. Then later in the year, they came out and they played Baltimore, spent the week in Florida, played the Saints the next week. Those are two situations very similar to the Super Bowl. You're going to move to a completely foreign location, spend the week there practicing, and then get ready for the game. The Chiefs have none of those on the resume. Not saying that's the tipping point, but the Niners are familiar with how to prepare given the elements here.
Joe Fortenbaugh from Allentown. And I've said it to Robin, and Robin knows it all the time. Some way, somehow, everybody that I've met or know has some connection to the Philadelphia area. It's unbelievable. Whether it's Philly, suburbs, Jersey, the tri-state area there.
How much of it's a good connection?
It doesn't have to be a good connection. It's just a connection, period. It's just a connection, some way or another. Joe, great to see you, man. Thank you so much.
For having me by.
The great Joe
It's always
Fortenbaugh,
a
ladies and
pleasure
gentlemen. The
with you
Philly
guys.
Godfather's
Rob,
hanging out with us all week.
Always a pleasure.
We're going to be on a yacht with Snoop tonight. I mean, we got to do the things we need to do.
Is that real?
We're going to the Lee Steinberg party, which we do every single year on Saturday.
No, the Lee Steinberg on Saturday. Tonight is a special VIP.
So many parties he can't keep track.
I know.
Exactly. I really do. I have to make the decision. Guys, thank you. I got to have Lee. Lee's coming on now, right? You coming on next, Lee? Guys, thank you so much. Joey Fortenbaugh, the great Philly Godfather.